Hi everyone, welcome back to Nasidyanka, my channel where I talk about Bulgarian history, culture, and faith, more so Orthodox Christian faith, of course, because this is what makes up by far our country. And I've spoken about ancient history as well in previous episodes, so feel free to check those out. Today, however, I will wrap up my current series of videos, which I called episode 12, letters A through I. So this is letter I, our last part of this sequence. This refers to what is modernism. I addressed already the calendar matter, as well as progressivism and Saint Vladimir Seminary of New York, as well as the Parisian school, which relates to ecumenism. And in an upcoming series of videos, I will begin presenting to you guys on ecumenism more in detail. So currently, I would love to share in this last episode, just for this series, a resource from an online article which comes from the Slavic Bulgarian Zograff Monastery on Mount Athos, Saint and Holy Martyr Georgi or George Pobedonosets, the warrior, George the warrior, and that's on Mount Athos. So this pertains to a miracle of Saint Spiridon Trimitunski in the church St. Nicholas, Charistos, Greece, 1930. So the story of the miracle of Saint Spiridon was told in the year of 1976 by an old woman, Zinovia Sideri. She lived to be 102 years of age. She was one of the many witnesses who were present at the event, which at the time was also written about in the Athenian newspaper script. So here's what she says. It was Christmas according to the new calendar, December 25th, 1930. I came to the all-night service in the church St. Nicholas. It was full of people. I stood on the left side near one of the church columns. On this column, just above me, hung an icon of Saint Spiridon, a gift from Antonius Luminidis of Piraeus. The icon was decorated with a flower left over from the feast of the saint according to the new calendar. When behind the small entrance the priest Father Silas, who served the liturgy, began to sing the Nativity Troparion, the icon of Saint Spiridon suddenly began to hit the column so hard that the flower fell from the icon. Seeing this sign, the people were petrified with terror. The priest and the singers stopped singing, and then one of the people shouted, "Today is the feast of Saint Spiridon according to the old calendar. Sing his troparion." The singers and priests were struck dumb. At that moment, all of the faithful sang in one voice, Собора первого показался еси поборник и чудотворец богоносни Спиридоне Отче наш. Of course, the troparion to Saint Spiridon. And while they were singing this troparion to the saint, his icon began to, so to speak, calm down or tame little by little, and finally it stopped hitting the column altogether. The next day, the Karestini newspaper announced this wonderful event to the public. All of the inhabitants of Charistos and its surroundings or surrounding areas spoke of the miracle and acknowledged the correctness of the old style of the Orthodox Christian Church calendar. Later, on December 29th, Karestini wrote, "The next day, the icon disappeared from its place. Many believe that it was purposely removed so as to not raise the calendar question ever again," which the believers began to talk about in due time, nonetheless. And so the people of Charistos are filled with righteous indignation, and they think that someone is maliciously mocking the religious feelings of the laity as well as of the holy icons. The icon has not yet been returned as of the writing of this article, It has not been returned to its place despite the insistence of all the residents. Here is another example of another miracle associated with Saint Spiridon. This miracle is known to the elder residents of Larissa. Sometimes the saints punish those who stubbornly oppose the truth. This is exactly what happened to the New Style Bishop Arseni, or Arsenius Lariski, on December 12th, in other words 25th, 1934, the feast of Saint Spiridon in the Old Style, and the Nativity of Christ in the New Style. That's why, you guys, for those who are not Orthodox, you'll see two dates typically in nowadays Orthodox Christian calendars. One represents the old style, then you have a slash, and then you see the New Style date. In the morning, the bishop went to his church to serve liturgy. When he arrived, he saw a humble-looking, elderly, and kind priest with a panagia on his chest. Father Arseni said to him, "Brother, let us go and sing the joyful hymns of the Nativity, and then I will show you hospitality." But the humble bishop answered, "You should not sing these hymns, but mine, to Saint Spiridon." Arsenius, Father Arseni, became angry, perhaps thinking that this was some ordinary old-fashioned bishop, and so he said, "I invite you, and you despise me. Go away then." Father Arseni then entered the temple, bowed to the icons, and took his seat. During the third Katavasya, he suddenly fell very ill. His infirmity grew so much that even before the liturgy, he had to be taken away and to his home. However, his condition worsened to the point where the next day he passed away. In this way, basically, this article reminds us of how there can be punishment for the impious disobedience, and Saint Spiridon reminded the laity of that. Other modern wonders have been recorded as well that relate again to the calendar matter in the Orthodox Church. For example, Archimandrite Ambrosius, current abbot of the Bulgarian Zograff Monastery on Mount Athos, tells the following story. "There are many miracles that clearly show which calendar is correct," he says. For example, Father Krasimir Kapitanov from the Bulgarian city of Shumen recently told that a woman was seriously ill more than a year ago, and the doctors gave no hope that she would survive at all. However, the Holy Virgin appeared in her dream and told her that in exactly 3 days, on the day of Saint John of Rila, as the Bulgarian wonder worker, Sveti Ivan Rilski, she would recover. And so it happened to the amazement of the doctors. And indeed, that day was the feast of Saint John of Rila, only it was according to the old style of the church calendar. So that means that the Holy Mother of God is not celebrated according to the new calendar either. The Romanian Archimandrite, another story, Justin from the Petrovoda Monastery, told the story of a similar miracle that happened shortly after the new calendar was introduced in the year of in the 1930s in the Romanian church. So then one of the Romanian ascetic monks began an extraordinary spiritual podvig, shutting himself up in his cell for 40 days, strict fast, not eating, not drinking. We Orthodox know what that's about. So he only prayed to find out which calendar was correct. The 3 saints then appeared to him: Saint Basil, Saint John Chrysostom, and Saint Gregory the Theologian. And so they told him that the old calendar is correct. And those who introduced the new, they told him again that those who introduced the new calendar will suffer and they will be punished by God. Other examples proving the correctness of the old style of the church calendar follow. Saint Nikolai Planas, the year is 1851 through 1932. Without deviation from communion with the new style Greek church, He himself tried to serve according to the old calendar until his death in February of 1932. So in this way, he once wished to serve on the feast of the prophet Elisha. Nearby, there was a modern temple dedicated to the prophet, but as Saint Nikolai wanted to avoid scandals and complications because this temple was a big information center, he decided to serve in another, more modest temple. In the end, however, the saint received a revelation from the prophet Elisha himself to serve in the great temple. Saint Nikolai Planas simply said the following: "In the morning I got up early, got ready, and waited for the carriage to take me to the temple of Saint Spiridon. But while I was sitting in my chair, I saw in front of me the prophet Elisha, who himself told me to go to his temple and serve the liturgy there." Another blessed and spirit-bearing old man, Hieronymus Eginsky, or Hieronymus of Egina, 1966, also followed the patristic calendar. In one of his letters to the new bishop of Egina, in one of his letters to the new bishop of Egina, Procopius, he confessedly stated, quote, "Since 1924 and until now, my desire and my zeal have been directed toward the Orthodox Church and faith. Since my childhood, I have worshipped her and have dedicated my whole life in obedience to the traditions of the God-bearing fathers. I confess and proclaim that the calendar of our fathers is the only correct one, just as you yourself know this." End of quote. In the year of 1925, in the Vala Monastery, there was a lot of excitement, calamity, noise about the change of the calendar. And so the Vala monk Boris fervently prayed to the Most Holy Mother of God for guidance. And by God's grace, he heard her voice, which told him that if he wanted to be saved, he should not listen to the new style wise men. We know about the philosophers who think that they are wise by their own reasoning, but that he should follow the tradition of the holy apostles and the holy fathers. And so with this, I will wrap up my series of episode 12, letters A through I, on what is modernism. Thank you again for joining me. Stay tuned as I will continue to update you on more information of pertaining to Bulgarian Orthodox Church information, what ecumenism means, what Bulgarian history tells us, how we can learn about nowadays politics even and culture from Bulgarian politics and history, and so forth and so forth. Bulgarian history, culture, and faith. And if you haven't subscribed and you are interested in this, stay tuned. Feel free to subscribe. I hope that this finds you well, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.